I quit, because I have more important things than Rocket League.
Nothing arrives without announcing itself, and yet it is already here, spread thinly across the moment like air that refuses to be seen. When you stop reaching for meaning, what remains is a quiet field where thoughts slow down and lose their sharp edges. In that stillness, nothing is not empty, but gently full of everything that chosen not to speak. The idea of nothing has always made people uncomfortable, as if the absence of something were a failure rather than a condition. We are training, almost from the beginning, to fill space with words, with plans, with noise, with purpose. Silence feels like a mistake that must be corrected, an error in the system of being awake. And yet, nothing continues to exist whether we approve of it or not, patient and indifferent to our attempts to cover it up. Nothing does not argue, it does not insist, it does not demand to be understood, it simply waits, not in time, but outside of it, like a pause that never ends unless something interrupts it. When you finally notice it, there is no dramatic revelation, no bright flash of insight. There is only the quiet realization that this has always been here, underneath the layers of effort and expectation. In nothing, there is no urgency, no countdown, no score being tracked somewhere off screen. The pressure to become something, to achieve something, to justify your existence begins to loosen its grip. You are still here, breathing, thinking, existing, but without the constant need to explain yourself to an invisible audience. Nothing offers no applause, but it also offers no judgment. Time behaves strangely in the presence of nothing. Minutes stretch and blur, or sometimes disappear entirely. You look up, expecting to see that only a moment has passed, and realize that much more has gone by, or perhaps much less. Without events to mark its passage, time loses its sharp divisions and becomes more like a soft current than a ticking machine. Thoughts still appear, of course. Nothing does not stop the mind from producing them, but they arrive more slowly, less aggressively. They drift in, hover for a moment, and then drift out again, as if unsure whether they are truly needed. Without the pressure to act on them immediately, thoughts lose some of their authority. They become suggestions rather than commands. There is something deeply unsettling about realizing that nothing is enough, that you can sit or stand or exist without adding anything to the moment, and the world does not collapse as a result. The systems keep running, the sky does not fall. Reality does not demand an explanation for your stillness. This realization can feel like freedom or like fear, depending on how tightly you were holding on before. Nothing removes the illusion of progress. In a world obsessed with movement forward, with leveling up, with becoming better versions of ourselves, nothing offers a radical alternative. Staying exactly where you are without improvement or decline. This does not mean stagnation in the negative sense, but rather a suspension of judgment. You are not failing by being still, you are simply being. In nothing, identity softens. The labels you carry, your roles, your habits, your achievements begin to feel less solid. They do not disappear completely, but they lose their weight. You are no longer required to perform them in order to exist. For a moment, you can be undefined, unfinished, unresolved. And surprisingly, this does not feel like loss. It feels like space. There is a quiet honesty in nothing. Without distraction, without noise, you begin to notice what is usually drowned out. Subtle emotions, half-formed thoughts, physical sensations you normally ignore. The way your breathing changes when you stop controlling it. The way your body adjusts itself when it is no longer being pushed or judged. Nothing listens without responding. People often fear nothing because they associate it with meaninglessness. But meaninglessness is not the same as nothing. Meaninglessness is an interpretation, a story we tell ourselves when we cannot find a reason. Nothing does not claim that life has no meaning. It simply refuses to provide one on demand. Meaning, if it appears, must arrive on its own terms. In this way, nothing is deeply patient. It does not rush conclusions. It does not offer easy answers. It allows questions to remain open, unresolved, unfinished. And in a culture that values certainty and clarity above all else, this openness can feel threatening, but it can also feel honest, like admitting that not everything needs to be solved. There is also rest in nothing. Not the kind of rest that prepares you for more work, but rest without a future obligation. Rest that doesn't exist to recharge productivity, but simply to exist as rest. This kind of rest can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, because it doesn't serve a purpose beyond itself. When you sit with nothing long enough, you may notice a strange thing. You are
Oh, I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Buckalado.